Today, I'm going to tell you a story about a real user. Credit to a community where anyone can share whatever they want, as long as they follow the rules. A post from 2014 was made by a user from the place called Usenet and W Forte. Grab your favorite snack and drink. Find a comfortable spot and get ready. Shall we begin? Today, something unfortunate happened that made me take a few minutes before I could even respond to another message. It was even worse than any other message I've ever received. My girlfriend passed away on August 7, 2012. She was involved in a traffic accident while heading home from work. 3 cars crashed into each other when someone tried to run a red light. She passed away just minutes after the accident. At that time, we had been dating for 5 years. She wasn't a fan of marriage. She said it was old-fashioned, and she felt slightly uncomfortable with the idea. Honestly, if she had been into it, I probably would have married her 3 months after we started dating. She was energetic, always challenging me in truth or dare games. She was happiest when going camping, but also a tech-savvy girl. She smelled like cinnamon. Like everyone, she wasn't perfect. She would always say things like, "Don't just say nice things to me." I've never liked that. If you're not honest with me, you're just letting me down. She had her flaws, but they were part of who she was. Now, there's something about Emily I need to mention. The type of music she liked and what she really liked were completely different. Her favorite sign of affection was a hug from behind. She had long toes, which matched her quirky personality. I'm telling you these things, not because they're important, but because I feel uncomfortable talking about her when you don't know her. Now let's get to the main point. It's been about 13 months since Emily started messaging me again. Before we dive into the main story, I need to explain Facebook's memorial mode. When someone passes away, Facebook offers an option to memorialize the person's account. If you choose this option, the account remains as a tribute where friends and family can post memories and share photos of the person. On October 4, 2013, things began. I had kept Emily's Facebook account active so I could still message her on special occasions, post on her wall, and look at old photos. I felt like it would be the end if I set her account to memorial mode. I also shared account access with her mom, Susan, which meant that Susan had the same login info, including the username and password. Susan only spent about 3 minutes on her daughter's account. After a bit of confusion, I convinced myself that it must be Susan who was using Emily's account to send me messages. Since Susan wasn't very tech-savvy, this seemed like a reasonable explanation. On November 16, 2013, Susan confirmed to me that she hadn't logged into Emily's account since a week after her death. Emily knew a lot of people, so I assumed it might be a sick joke from one of her techie friends. But I soon realized that the messages being sent to me were using phrases and sentences from old conversations between Emily and me. The phrase "the wheels on the bus" came from a conversation about a trip we never ended up taking. The greeting "hello" appeared countless times in February 2014. Emily even tagged herself in my photos on Facebook. I would get notifications about the tags, but they would often disappear by the time I clicked on them. The first time I managed to catch it in time, I saw the tag, and it felt like a powerful sign. Emily was tagging herself in places she used to visit. I have 2 screenshots from April and June. These were the only times I was fast enough to capture them. During this period, I was losing sleep. I was too wired to fall asleep. Emily would randomly tag herself in my photos. My friends started to notice it too, but most thought it was just a glitch. However, one of my friends even unfriended me on Facebook after seeing this. By then, some of you might be wondering why I didn't just deactivate my Facebook account and stop dealing with this. Well, I did. I deactivated it for a while, but on days when I couldn't go out and socialize, it was nice to still connect with friends online. However, visiting Emily's profile without seeing the green circle next to her name made me feel disconnected from the world. Even when she was alive, I lived a reclusive life. Her death almost turned her into a shadow. Facebook and online games were my only real social connections outside of her. On March 15, 2014, I sent a message to the person I assumed had hacked Emily's account. From March 25, 2014, I received a response. I didn't realize it until a few months later when I was looking back through old messages, and I noticed that she was also reusing my words. My reply at the time seemed lifeless, which was my intention, to create a sense of exhaustion and grief, to keep the person behind this prank engaged. I assumed that the person doing this was somehow deriving satisfaction from my suffering and stress. I posted on tech forums, trying to find ways to trace the location of this person or gather more information. I needed to keep them engaged so I could collect solid evidence before someone else decided to take action. Yes, I changed the password and other security methods countless times, but the messages kept coming. On April 16, 2014, I received more messages. They were like a random salad of words, seemingly made up of reused phrases from previous conversations she and I had had. On April 29, 2014, I still hadn't discovered any new leads. Facebook kept notifying me about familiar locations being used to access her account, places like my home, my workplace, her mother's house, and so on. My response here was genuine, not bait. The phrase she used, "haha, stop," was one of her jokes when she didn't want to answer a question, or was too lazy, or simply didn't feel like responding. But seeing her use this joke again felt truly terrifying. My real-life situation was even worse. Her final messages began to truly scare me, though at that point I hadn't yet fully accepted it. On May 8, 2014, I no longer knew what to say about all this. Frozen was the first word she sent. It wasn't from any old messages. It was the first new word she had used. This started giving me nightmares where I kept dreaming about her being trapped in a cold, frozen car, colored in icy blues and grays. I would stand outside, shouting at her to open the door and escape, but she didn't even notice I was there. In some dreams, her legs were outside the car while her upper body was stuck inside. On May 24, 2014, I wasn't drunk at the time. She wasn't overly emotional, always shy about saying things like, "I love you," or expressing affection. She preferred to be more honest when I was drunk, which is why I drank quite a bit. Her reply this time was what made me finally decide to set her account to memorial status. I thought doing this would stop all the weirdness. The final message seemed innocent compared to the others. It was copied from a conversation we had when I tried to persuade her to let me pick her up from a friend's house the day of the accident. On the day she died, a billboard fell and crushed her. She sustained a severe injury, a deep gash stretching to her upper left thigh. One leg was pinned behind her. Let's go back in time to August 7, 2012. That was the last day we spoke. The messages she sent and the few voicemails I left were the last times I communicated with her while I thought she was still alive. You'll soon understand why I'm telling you all of this. Yesterday, on July 1, 2014, I set her profile to memorial status. A few days later, I got a message about her taking a walk. Since then, she's been silent. She hasn't tagged herself in any of my pictures. I don't know what to do anymore. I just deleted her profile. What if it was her? I feel sick. I don't know what's happening anymore. I just heard a Facebook notification. I clicked too quickly to check it, and after about 7 minutes, user W posted a few updates. First, I checked the notification. I heard it when I was rereading and editing this post. It was a screenshot of my door and my computer, taken from the outside. I received that message this Tuesday and hadn't checked it until now. I'm using my tablet in the garage. I'm going to meet a friend out of town, but I need to open the garage door while trying to calm myself down. Update 2. I should be scared. Every now and then, something extremely eerie happens that isn't like me at all. She seems more real to me in this state. That's all I just posted. What do you think of this story? Is it real? Or is it just a fabricated tale to satisfy the creepypasta community? As for me, I'm still unsatisfied because of the remaining mysteries surrounding this story. So maybe I'll delve deeper since we're friends. We'll figure out what really happened, right? After this story, I came up with 3 most convincing theories based on everything I've gathered. If you have any interesting ideas, feel free to share. Theory 1. Nathan is dead, and the one behind these messages is Emily. It sounds crazy, right? But I found a post where someone had followed Nathan's story and used the information he provided about the accident to discover that there was indeed a similar car accident. However, strangely, no woman named Emily died in that crash. Instead, it was a man named Nathan. That's what this person found on Nathan's obituary. Theory 2. Nathan communicated in a way identical to Emily's texts on Facebook, repeating words and phrases she had used. I have a confusing phrase from the first part of the story: Zen phones. It doesn't make much sense if translated directly into Vietnamese. However, if we rearrange the letters, it becomes frozen now, which translates to Yan Hong Bang in Vietnamese, matching the word frozen. This was the first new term she created, not recycled from old messages. Regarding the term Usenet SW Next, it could be an abbreviation for Naked Wellness SW, potentially meaning Next Woman I. In this context, the name Emily could be abbreviated as M. The reverse of M is me, which means I in Vietnamese. So is it possible that Nathan is the one who died in the traffic accident, and Emily went mad after her lover's death, desperately trying to believe Nathan was still alive? She might have sent messages to him, or perhaps she was waiting to die for some reason, and was trying to communicate with users in a similar manner as Emily did, using her old words and phrases. However, this theory has its own flaws, such as the lack of verification of the accident. After reading this, I also tried to search for information about the traffic accident online, but found no matching details. If the story is true, why would Emily, being alive, use old, meaningless words in her messages? If it were indeed so, why would Emily post this? I couldn't find a clear motive. Theory 2. Nathan developed dissociative identity disorder, DID, after Emily's death. DID is a condition related to psychological trauma, similar to PTSD, where a person experiences a split from reality and identifies with another personality. Simply put, people with DID have multiple personalities living in one body, and depending on the situation, different personalities may emerge and control the body. The person with DID may not remember what they did during the time when another personality was in control. Key characteristics of DID include distinct personalities with separate consciousnesses and memories, difficulty in recognizing oneself as having DID. Often, diagnosis relies on observations by others following a significant trauma. Nathan had been living in isolation with few friends. After Emily's death, he became even more reclusive. People with DID can also suffer from other psychological issues like depression. Nathan had confirmed having sleep disorders and suicidal tendencies. There's a line in Emily's last album that suggests he might be in this state. If translated, it might mean Nathan's suicidal decision reflects his condition. Perhaps, if Nathan did die, it could imply that there were other ways controlling him without his awareness. This could explain why Emily's account logged in from familiar locations and why, despite changing passwords and security measures multiple times, messages from Emily's account kept coming. But this theory also has gaps. Consider the photo taken from outside Nathan's house. Could another personality have set up a time-lapse camera and then relinquished control? This idea seems absurd, and messages from Emily were answered almost immediately. For this to happen, there would need to be 2 Facebook accounts, which seems improbable. Thus, I find this theory unlikely. Theory 3. Nathan was hacked by a keylogger. A keylogger is software or hardware that records keystrokes. It's typically legal and designed for users to monitor their own computers, but it's often used maliciously to steal passwords or personal information. Attackers might use it to try different passwords until they find the correct one. The longer and more complex the password, the harder it is to guess, requiring more time and effort. Among suspects could be a friend or tech-savvy person in Emily's group who might have a romantic interest in her, a close family member of Emily's who might have a close relationship with Nathan and possibly knew the spare key to his house or received it directly from him. This could explain how someone accessed Nathan's home and took pictures of his computer. These are all the theories I have based on the evidence I could find. If you have any other theories, feel free to share them. We can discuss further in the comments.